I promise. Okay, so here we go. Practice quiz, first two sections, P1, P2. First question says, find the midpoint. How do we find midpoint?
Add
We
and
average.
divide by.
So we're gonna add and divide by 2, that's exactly right. So our midpoint, we're gonna add our x's. Kids, make sure you're adding the x's. Label these if you need to keep them straight. So 1 and 4 divided by 2. So I'm gonna put 5 halves. If you put 2.5, that's fine. Obviously it's the same thing. And then what? 3 plus negative 5, negative 2, divided by 2, negative 1. How do we find midpoint? We average. Add them, divide by 2. Now what does this mean?
Distance.
Distance. So this time, we subtract our x's. And the order you do it doesn't matter. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do 1 minus 4 and square that. And then I'm gonna do 3 minus negative 5 and square that. The order you subtract doesn't matter, but be sure that you are doing x's together and y's together. All right, so what do we got? 1 minus 4, negative 3, but you gotta square it, so you're going to get 9. 3 minus negative 5 is 8. Squared is 64. Add them together and get 73. 73 is a prime number, so it doesn't break down. But just in case, let's say you got, let's say on your quiz, because the numbers will be different, so let's say you get root 72. What, how does 72 break down? 9 and 8? 9 breaks down into 3 and 3. 8 breaks down into 4 and 2. And 4 breaks down into 2 and 2. If I have 2 of something, I can bring it out. So right there I have 2 3s. So a 3 is going to come out. Oh wait, I also have 2 2s. Everything's multiplied. Everything here was multiplied. So 2 is coming out. But that last 2 has to stay in. So if you get a number like root 72, your answer is going to be, in this case, 632. Root 73 doesn't break down, so you just leave it, root 73. Write as an interval. Now, what does that mean? Parentheses and brackets. Those are intervals. Okay? Now, what about this one? What's this over here? Negative infinity. So negative infinity to 5. Remember, the infinities always have parentheses. The 5 has a parentheses because that's an open dot. Sketch. I squeezed one in here. Sketch this. Oops. So now you're doing opposite. There's the interval. Now you're putting it on the number line. So we got a dot at 5,
Yes.
dot at 6. The 5 is colored in. And we shade everything in between.
How can you tell if it's shaded or not?
What do you mean?
Like in between.
It's always in between. Always. Just like up here. It was shaded in between negative infinity and 5. Always in between. Alright, number 3, we are going to simplify this exponent thing. And you'll do it however it makes sense to you. We just gotta make sure we get the same answer. Three over 9. Forget all this stuff. There's a fraction, 3/9. Does that reduce? 1/3. Look at your x's. You have 4 of them on the top, 2 of them on the bottom.
Top.
Aren't you gonna be able to cancel some stuff out? How many will be left after you're done canceling? 2, and they will be on the top. Now, there is nothing to be confused about there. If it's not making sense to you, this is x to the 4th. Would you agree with me? This is x to the 2nd. X to the 4th, x to the 2nd. He cancels with him, he cancels with him. What's left? 2 x's on the top. Now, see that right there? Not good. So this guy is going to have to come down. There's 10 y's sitting in the bottom, and you're bringing down 3 more. So what are you going to have? 13. No, guys. Listen. There's 10 y's down there already. We're bringing down 3 more. 13 on the bottom. There's 13 on the bottom. When you bring this down, it becomes y cubed. It's not negative. It's y cubed on the bottom. So now you got 13 on the bottom. Absolute value, do each one individually and do the inside part first. So, what's 3 minus 4?
-1.
-1. Absolute value of -1 is 1. So that part of the problem is a 1. Right, what's this part of the problem? 5. What am I doing with my 2 parts? Subtracting them. So the answer is -4. What is the center of this circle?
4, -1.
4, -1. Because when we find the center, we always do take the opposite,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
What's the radius? Square root of 18. Remember, that number over here, you have your equation. This guy right here is always r squared. So we want r, so we're going to have to square root that. Now, what do we always do when we have a square root? Try to simplify. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. So what do we know about 18? 6 and 3. What do we know about 6? 3 and 2. Now I'm done. But what have I got? 2 3's. So out will come a 3 and in will stay a 2. Not a 6, a 2. The 6 got broken down, he's gone. Cross them off as you break them down, and that way you don't get confused. That, my friends, is your quiz. Again, the problems might be in a different order. because we'll have different quizzes, but that's it. Okay? Alright. You can always take the quiz again if you need to practice. We don't turn the quiz in. The quiz in, you keep that. Keep the practice quiz. We don't turn that in. All right, let's get our notes out and pick up. Just want to make sure, I know we did a couple of these yesterday. You guys did a great job. I just want to make sure that we are all on board. So I'm going to do 3 F and G, even though I know you already have done these to some of you anyhow. I want to make sure we're all on board. Had some questions during office hours. Just want to make sure that we're good on this, and then we'll move on to the new stuff. All right, so let's look. This is problem F, 3F. Can you tell me what you would do? I can't remember what we did yesterday. What would you do? Stress? So stress says I would like everything to be over 3. So if I'm going to put this over 3, it's going to become 6x. And this one, if I'm going to put it over 3, it's going to become a 12. That one's already over 3. Once you get all the denominators, everything over a common denominator, what are you allowed to do? Lose the denominator. So we have 6x minus 12 equals 4x minus 5. Then we'll subtract 4x. So we have 2x minus 12 equals negative 7. Add 12. Or I said negative 5. We're going to get 7. So 2x equals 7. And yesterday when we did this problem, did we get 7 halves?
Yes.
Perfect. You don't have to do the problem this way. This is a great method. You don't have to do it this way, but you have to get that answer. Okay? All right, let's try this one. Can we do the same thing with this one? So what would be our common denominator here? We've got 3 different denominators.
Well,
So we're going to multiply this one by 4, this one by 3, and this one by 6. Now, all the denominators are now 12, so forget those. 4t minus 4 plus 3t plus 15 equals 6. 7t, I'm adding these, plus 11 equals 6.
Yep.
So 7t equals negative 5. And t equals negative 5/7. Is that what we got yesterday?
Yeah.
Everybody is good with that? Okay. Because now we're going to turn the page and we're going to do basically the same thing, but now we're going to do it with inequalities, which doesn't really change anything. We're going to solve this exactly the way we've been doing it. So I'm going to subtract 4x. I'm going to add 1. And then I'm going to divide by negative 2. have to remember, this is where it gets different. I have to flip the sign. When I divide by -2, this becomes a greater than or equal to. Do you remember that rule? Multiply or divide by a negative, you have to flip your inequality. Now, because we're getting ready for calculus, this is pre-calculus, we're gonna write our answer as an interval. This is good practice for the quiz tomorrow too. We're gonna write as an interval. So think about what this looks like on the number line. Isn't this what it looks like on the number line? What's out here? Positive infinity. So what's my interval? Bracket -2, infinity parentheses. Now, this is absolutely the correct answer. But if the directions say, write in interval notation, you have to be ready to do this. Is that all right with everyone? All right. Now, B looks different because B is what we call a compound inequality. It's got 2 symbols in it. But this is so easy to do. Do not make this problem hard. You, like always, want to get x by itself. So all we have to do is get rid of that 6. But when we minus it, we have to minus it from everything. So -4 less than or equal to x less than 3. Problem finished. Done. What if we need an interval? What would that interval be? Bracket -4 parentheses 3. So simple. So easy. Don't make it hard. There's enough of them that are hard. Don't make that one hard. All right, would you get started on this? So what are you going to do? What should you be doing right now? Distributive. Yep, you should be doing the distributive all over the place. Once you've got distributive, we need to combine like terms. Over here on this side, I'm going to do this side separate. So I'm going to have an x plus 9. Did I combine those correctly? Now I'll start moving. So I'll bring this over. Bring this over. So I'm subtracting 3x. Subtracting 9. How does that work? Did I get everything rearranged correctly? You can. We'll talk about that in a second. You absolutely can. It won't change a thing. It'll look a little different, but it won't change a thing. Now, is this right? What am I going to do now? I'm going to divide by -2, which is going to switch that sign. So let's go ahead and write this as an interval. You don't have to graph it, but sometimes when you graph it, it gives you a better sense of what your interval should look like. What's over here? Negative infinity. So my interval is going to be negative infinity by. Remember, your interval is always this number, right? This number, left, right. Now, Eli said, and we need to talk about this, because I don't want anybody to be confused. Eli said, you know what, Ms. Ward, I really don't want to mess around with negative numbers. So I'm going to bring the 3x over here. I'm going to bring the x over here. And bring the 1 over here. So he has 10 greater than 2x. And then when he divides, he has this. Is this the same as this?
No. No.
Where's the arrow pointing? The arrow's pointing at the X. Where's the arrow pointing? At the X. Those are exactly the same thing. Eli, I prefer to do it this way because it's easier for me to graph when my X comes first. This means the same as that though. But you need to recognize what interval that is. That's still negative infinity to 5. You're going that way for graph. Okay? But it's perfectly fine. Alright. We're almost done with these and then we'll move on to some slopes. Willow, I hear your voice. What would I do with this problem right here? This is D. What would you like to do?
Common denominator.
You can do that. So this one already has a 5. This one would have to be times 5. So then we have 3x minus 2 is greater than negative 5.
And then you can add the 2.
Add the 2. Be careful. Negative 5 plus 2. Negative 3. And then divide. I'm not going to flip the sign, guys, because what am I dividing by? A positive 3. Yeah, there's a negative over there. My answer's going to have a negative, but I'm not dividing by a negative. So it's just this, which as an interval would be negative 1 to infinity. Practice that, you guys. You need to be able to do that. Okay, take a minute with your partner and see how you do with this one. Are you looking on this side?
Oh, I thought that was like equal. Oh, I didn't even see that. Oh, so you think about you get 4.
But like, it's not, you're not gonna do all that.
Okay, anybody get that?
Say write it together. That's okay.
We did?
Yes.
Awesome. What interval did you write? Negative infinity, negative 11/7. Very good. Very, very good. Now, anybody not get this? Anybody have a question about where something happened? You like? Yeah? Yes. So that's, Eli, that's why I suggest if you are at all confused, draw a picture of it. Because as soon as you draw that, you can see you have negative infinity, negative 11/7.
I just had it like, Just look at it.
Anything else? I hear a lot of talking. Is it about this problem? Are we trying to get this sorted out?
Yeah.
Do we have it sorted out?
No.
Yeah, no, that's all. Because I'm trying to get it all coming up. You just can't because the other side.
Wait, what's she? This for. Is that E, right?
This one is E, yeah.
Is that a? It looks like a negative one on our paper.
Where?
It is a negative one.
Oh.
But we or I don't know what you did. I times it by 6 to get a common denominator.
Okay.
So it
Oh,
became a
yeah,
negative
that's
6.
right. That's right.
Remember, when you're doing the common denominator thing, it's wonderful. It will work all the time and it's great. But everything has to have that denominator. Even if it's not a fraction, you have to give it that denominator. All right, now we got a big ugly problem. So let's see if we can fight through this one. All right. And as I'm writing the problem and as you're looking at the problem, what is kind of your first thought? What do you, when you see this problem, what do you think about doing right off the bat? Distributing. Distributing. So let's distribute. So I'm going to have 1/2 x plus 3/2. Now you guys remember, this is 3 over 1. So when you multiply 1/2 times 3 over 1, see how you get 3 over 2? And the same thing's going to happen here. This is going to be 1/3 x. Now what happens when I multiply 1 over 3 times 3 over 1? I just get 1, and it'll be minus 1. So I'm stopping there to see if anybody's got a question about the distributing. I really think that's the best way to start. Just get it on distributing. Now, there's a bunch of fractions in here. Shall we get a common denominator like most of you like to do? What would our common denominator be? 6. So we're going to multiply this one by 3, this one by 3, this one by 6, and this one by 6, this one by 2, and this one by 6. What a mess. All the denominators are gone, so I have 3x plus 9 plus 12x minus 48 less than 2x minus 6. All right, take a look at that, make sure that makes sense. I have gotten rid of all my denominators because they're all 6s. Still up with me?
Yes.
So what are you doing now? Some of you are done with the problem. What are you doing?
Combined by
Like terms over here. So it looks like I have, what, 15x? Minus 39? get 33/13?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Kind of a yucky number, that's what I got. Precal. So what would that be as an interval? Think about what that picture looks like.
Negative infinity.
Negative infinity, 13/3?
33. Oh, yeah.
33/3? 13? Too many threes floating around in there, got better? Remember, if you graph this, it would look like this. Negative infinity. Last couple days, we solved a lot of equations. Ready? Alright, P3 will be due on Friday. And then we're gonna go ahead and start P4. Remember, you can turn it in tomorrow, or you can bring it by on Friday. That's up to you. Whatever works best for you. Now, tomorrow we're having a quiz. Alright? And one of the questions on the quiz will look just like this. There's 2 points. It's gonna say find the midpoint. What do we do to find the midpoint?
Add and
Average.
divide.
Add the x's, divide by 2, add the y's, divide by 2. Another question on tomorrow's quiz is gonna say find the distance. It's gonna say this, find the distance. That's the big radical thing.
Yeah.
Subtract the x's, square them. Subtract the y's, square them. Add them up and take the square root. Today, we got a problem that looks exactly the same, but we're gonna do something different. We're gonna find the slope of the line that goes through A and B. The question says, find the slope. Who remembers how to find slope?
Y2 minus Y1.
M is the letter we use to denote slope. Not sure why, actually, I should know that, I don't know why. And there you go. Notice that it's y's on top. Kinda dorky, but how I remember that is when I graph the coordinate plane, which letter's on top? Y, it's the y-axis. So y on top, and I subtract my y's, and I subtract my x's. Now, groupies, just like before, the order you subtract doesn't matter. But if you do first minus second for the y's, then you gotta do first minus second for the x's. If you do second minus first for the y's, you gotta do second minus first for the x's. Okay, so with slope, order doesn't matter, but you gotta do the same order for both. Alright, so what do we got? 8 minus 2 over 6 minus negative 1, what do you think about that?
Yep.
Yeah.
So my slope is 6 over 7. 6 sevenths. Rise over run. 6 over 7. Alright, you do B.
Oh,
Tell me what the slope of CD is. I got negative 1.
yeah.
Did you?
Yes, ma'am.
I ended up with 9 over negative 9. Did anyone subtract the other way and have negative 9 over 9? See, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. All right, find the missing coordinate so that the line through A and B has the given slope. So here's point A, a little tricky. Anybody have a thought? Cliff, can you sit up for me, honey? Can you sit up for me? Our principal is really, really big on student engagement. Do you know what that means? Okay. And when you're laying down like that, it doesn't look like you're very engaged. And they came in and turned all those cameras around. They used to shine down on me, now they shine down on you. Who knows who's watching? But I don't want them to think that you're not in fault with what I'm saying. Okay? So fade it. Okay. All right, anybody have an idea here? Garrett?
Would the formula be y equals mx plus b, or no?
You know what? You know what? We could do it that way, I think. Now, the problem is we don't know what B is.
Right.
But we could, I think, point slope this. It might, it's kind of the same thing, Derek. Would you agree that I could find the slope by doing 6 minus 5 over x minus 4? So y minus y over x minus x. I could find slope that way.
Yes.
And I know that has to equal 3/4. Slope is y minus y over x minus x. But they told me that's 3/4.
Yeah.
So now I have 1 over x minus 4 equal to 3/4. How do I solve an equation like that? I remember.
Oh.
Remember how to cross multiply? Remember cross multiplying? Like in geometry, you did that a lot. So we have 3 times x minus 4 equal to 4. 3 times x minus 4 equals 4. So 3x minus 12 equals 4. 3x minus 12. 3x equals 16 and x equals 16/3. So there's the answer to the question. What is slope? Y minus y over x minus x. So I did that. I did that with these 2 points. I did y minus y, x minus x. But they already told me that has to equal 3/4. So then I just solved that equation. Some of you look like you don't know what I'm talking about. Let's try the next one. It's the same exact idea. Let's see if we have more luck with this one. Okay, how do I calculate slope? Y minus -2 over 1 minus 3. Y minus y, x minus x. Or could I do y minus y, x minus x? Yeah, order doesn't matter. I like to have my variable first. So y plus 2 over -2 is my slope. But what do I know about my slope? It has to equal -2/3. They told me that in the problem. How do I solve that? Oh, I could get a common denominator. I cross multiply, but you could get a common denominator. So this one would have to be multiplied by 3. And this one would have to be multiplied by, watch it now, -2. Now they match. So 3y plus 6 equals positive 4. 3y equals negative 2, so y equals negative 2/3. You alright, birthday girl? You okay? Alright, number 3. I had to make a correction on one of my points, so it's kind of hard to read. Our points are negative 2, 12, and 6, 4. And we're going to write the equation of the line using point slope. Does that vocabulary sound familiar to you? Point slope. Anybody remember what it looks like? Point slope. Y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. That is the point slope form. So let's write that down. This is point slope. Obviously, m is the slope. And this is your point. Well, Mrs. Ford, I have 2 points. Yep, you sure do. Pick one. Doesn't matter. Pick one. Personally, I would use that one because there's no negatives to mess with, but that's up to you. You can pick either one. But before I do that, I need to figure out my slope, and you know how to do that. My slope is going to be 12 minus 4 over negative 2 minus 6. 12y minus y, x minus x. So that's 8 over negative 8, so that works out to be negative what again? So far, so good? All right, everybody okay if we use this point because it seems easier? So then we'll just plug into our formula. Y minus 4, remember that's the y number, equals negative 1 x minus 6. Done. Done. That's the point slope form in line. That's your answer. Stop right there. When it says use point slope, that is point slope right there. Okay? Alright, now you try the next one. Do exactly the same thing with these other 2 points. Now you have new points. So it's 3, 3, and 5, negative 5. Come up with something that looks like this. Yeah.
Well, wouldn't they be 2 completely different answers if you use the other point?
They wouldn't be. I'll show you in a second. Would you go ahead and do this problem for me? You did already? Okay, good. So, this will hang on 1 second. Cole, did you find your slope?
Yeah, 1.
The slope turned out to be 1?
The slope?
Let's try that. Did you do 3 minus negative 5 or negative 5 minus 3? So negative 5 minus 3 over 5 minus 3.
Negative.
So that's going to be negative 8 over 2.
actually, I added, I read the thing wrong.
Okay. I got -4 for my slope. Anybody else get -4 for your slope? Okay. So Mary, which point did you use? 3. So y minus 3 equals -4 x minus 3. Now, if you use that one, it's gonna be y plus 5, because it's y minus a negative. So y plus 5 equals -4, x minus 5. So these would be the two possible answers. All right, so let's stop, make sure, are you good? Did you get one or the other? Now, Mary says, she's sitting back there and she says, whoa, they look totally different. And they do. Let me show you something. If I did the distributive and moved the 3, in other words, if I got y by itself, this equation would say -4x plus 15. Now, what if I did the same thing down here? You see what's going to happen? When I get y by itself, I get exactly the same equation. So, yes, they look very different, but they are exactly the same set of points.
Well, when it's just like that, we just leave it.
Yeah. When it says point slope, you are allowed to stop here. That's the point slope form. What? I can't hear you. You have to know what point slope is, absolutely. Because it's your directions are the same as point slope, so you need to know what you're gonna do. What form is this? That's slope intercept. So we're not gonna do it, I'm gonna stop here because I wanna do a quick review with you. But, the next set of problems, same thing, here's 2 points, write the equation of the line using slope intercept. Kids, we're gonna do exactly what we just did, and then you're gonna distribute and move that number and you're done. So it's not a new strategy, there's nothing new to do, you're just gonna rewrite your equation to get y by itself. Okay? All right, so I'm gonna stop there, but I'm not done talking. Because we can get a couple more problems in preparation for our quiz tomorrow. So let's take these 2 points and find this. This is quiz review. So we're not wasting time. Quiz review, here we go. What does that mean? Distance. So first thing I hope you do is write a radical. And underneath, you're going to do 3 minus 5 squared plus 3 minus -5 squared.
Yep.
So what have we got? This is
4.
-2 squared is 4. Watch this one now. That one is 8 squared, 64. So we have the square root of 68. And then what do we remember? If we want to get full credit, we need to see if this breaks down. 2 and 34.
7. 2 and 7.
2 and 17.
2 outside.
So out will come a 2 and in will stay a 17.
If like on the quiz, we've done the 68, we just know it's 2.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You guys, if you can reduce radicals or learn some work in your head, that's fine. You don't need to go through all the steps. But for those of you that can't, these are the steps we go through. All right, good job. Quiz tomorrow. Be ready. I remember my